Welcome, everyone. We'll give folks another minute or so to join. Thank you all for being here. We'll get started in just a minute. Okay, we will get started. Um, Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'd like to start off quickly by just thanking my health and wellness team here, Marie, Caitlin, and Holly for kind of supporting the webinar on the back end and helping to make sure that things run smoothly today. We are recording this webinar, so we will be sharing this link out at the end of the call, and it will also be available on the OSSE website as well as in our new school health profile application. Now, today we are having this webinar mainly because since our last data collection cycle, we've been really thoughtful in wanting to improve the overall data collection process, not just for you all, but for us as well. We successfully achieved 100% participation last year, and we believe that taking this step with this new application will help us to kind of continue building on that success. And our developers here at OSSE and business analysts and CIO have been working tirelessly to help develop this application that not only enhances the user experience for you all, but also helps to ensure that we're collecting better quality data every year. Next slide, please, Marie. So I'll walk us through a few different things today. We'll start with a quick overview of what the school health profiles are. We'll go into what the updates are for this new application. I'll talk about how to access the new application, and then we'll do a live demonstration where we'll cover a number of different things, including user access and login, what the LEA view is of the application. Again, this is the webinar for LEAs, so the school view is different from what the LEA view is. We'll also cover how to submit data, and we'll also touch upon data certification as well. Throughout the webinar, please keep dropping questions in the question box, and then we will get to all of it at the very end of the presentation. Please note that your microphones are all muted, so you will need to type in questions into the question box if you want them to get answered. Okay, with that, let's dive into our welcome activity. So next slide, please, Marie. Everyone, if you have your phone, you can scan this QR code, or you can open a new browser, go to menti.com and enter this code 67196928. And there you will find a quick 2-question poll, one that will ask you to submit the name of your LEA so we can know kind of who's in the room today, and another to kind of hear how many years of experience you have with the school health profiles. So I'll give you 30 seconds or so to kind of get to the Menti website. Seeing a lot of responses pouring in. Marie, maybe you can share the results screen so we can check that out. Awesome. So I have lots of folks from Inspired Teaching, Capital City PCS. This is also a check that if you are a school level user or staff person, this is not the webinar for you. This webinar today is just for folks at the LEA level. We are having a separate webinar for school level users on January 10th. So if you are a school person, please feel free to leave and re-register for the school level webinar that'll be happening on January 10th. Okay, maybe we can go to the next question, Marie. Oh, I didn't realize that you have to go to it first and then it'll enable responses. I think folks that still have the browser open, I think you should be able to answer this question now. Maybe there's something that I didn't enable on my end. Let me see if I can figure this out. Um, let's see. So it says you can't answer it. You know what? It's okay. Maybe everyone can drop in the chat how many years you've been completing. Oh, I'm seeing responses now. Nice. Yeah, I was curious to see if anyone, wow, we have one person who's completed it 5 times. That's awesome. And maybe, I'm sorry, that's a lot of times to complete the school health profiles. Cool. Okay. I think that's enough responses. Good to know who's in the room. Marie, we can navigate back to the presentation now. Thank you all for participating. So now we'll cover quickly just an overview of the school health profiles. Next slide, please. So the school health profiles is an annual data collection survey. Maybe the person that completed it 5 times can do a better job of answering this than me. And it's required for all standard K through 12 schools by the Healthy Schools Act of 2010. I'll refer to this as the HSA moving forward. This means that by serving and requiring it for standard K through 12 schools, this means that schools that predominantly serve adult or pre-K students are not required to submit. The data that we collect covers a variety of different topics, including nursing and health staff data, minutes of PE and health education instruction, local wellness policies, school gardens, and so much more. And because of that, the school health profiles is really more than just a data set. We here at OSSE utilize it for a lot of different things, including OSSE's biennial Healthy Schools Act report that we submit to DC Council every 2 years. We completed the report for the past 2022 year, so that'll be coming out next year. And the data also can inform the self-assessment and action planning that we rolled out this past school health profiles year for schools that were out of compliance with health and physical education minutes. Again, to just better support schools, know what's happening, and hopefully help improve outcomes and performance. If you'd like to get familiar with this year's survey, we have a blank copy of the PDF of the survey, which Caitlin can drop in the chat now, that you can also access through the OSSE website. Next slide, please. So what's changed from last year? Most notably, we have a new data submission application, which was formerly Quickbase. This new application is going to serve as a one-stop shop. So this will be the place where you can complete and submit the school health profile form for this school year. You can view historical submissions of your school's profiles. You can view legislation information. You can view if it becomes required for you, the self-assessment and action planning tools. And this is also the same portal where the LEA head of school will come on the date of the data certification deadline to certify the data. Another new thing for the school health profiles this year is that all new users will be added through the all staff data collection file in the IDS application. Last year we had done this through eSchool Plus. We are no longer doing that. I think most of you should be familiar with the IDS process. So that's different for this year. We also, for those of you who attended the November LEA Data Managers meeting, will be using and enabling single sign-on for the school health profiles, which will simplify many things moving forward, and I'll share more on that later. Finally, we are enabling early access for LEAs starting this upcoming Monday. So in just a few days, you will have access to the school health profiles where you can begin doing so much that I'll cover in the next slide, please. So early access, starting next Monday, you can start editing and reviewing data in the school health profiles. What we recommend you do with this additional time and a half until the application opens for school level users on January 17th is you can begin pre-filling data. You can begin reviewing some pre-populated data that we actually already included in the survey from based on last year's survey. We did this again with the understanding that pre-populating some data could help you and ease the overall experience. So please review that data in this time. You can conduct outreach and add any new users, both at the LEA level and school level users, again, through the IDS process. This is also a good time to encourage school level users to register for the school level webinar that will be happening on June 10th. This is also a good time to determine which school health profiles questions are best answered by the LEA rather than the school staff. And again, just beginning that conversation with schools to start coordinating all this data that you'll be collecting. As such, it'd be good to make a plan to ensure that all data is submitted before the data certification deadline on February 17th. The deadline for submitting all of the data and all the profiles is the day before at midnight. So February 16th by midnight, all schools should have submitted their profiles into the system so that it's easier on February 17th for the LEA head of school to go in and certify. And this is just a recommendation. If it helps, it might be helpful for the LEAs to designate at least one data manager to kind of ease coordination and data collection through the whole process. Next slide, please. So the timeline for this upcoming school year. This timeline has been sent out in the LEA look forwards, but feel free to also take a screenshot of kind of what to expect. So again, from December 5th until January 16th, this is the period of early access that only you as the LEA level users have to the application. On January 10th, we have the webinar for school level users. Caitlin can drop in the chat this link so that you can start sharing it out with schools. From January 17th to February 16th is the official data collection window. This is when school level users will have access to the application, and this is when they should submit all the profiles by. February 3rd is the OSSE Support Tool OST deadline. This is if you're having any technical issues, any big challenges that you're facing with the application itself, you must submit an OST ticket. So please do that by February 3rd. I mentioned this already, I'm going to keep mentioning it. February 16th by midnight, all the profiles should be submitted so that on February 17th, the LEA head of school can certify. In March, we will be developing the PDFs for each of the school profiles and sending those out. And we will also be posting the raw data and the PDFs on the OSSE website at that time. Next slide, please. So now we'll go on to accessing the application. This is the URL for the application, data.osse.dc.gov/shp. You can bookmark this, save this. Please note that it will not be live or ready for you to access until December 5th. And Caitlin can drop this link in the chat as well. Next slide, please. So as LEA data managers, I'm sure you are familiar with the all staff data collection file in IDS. All new users should be added through that system, and you should assign the appropriate user roles to them. So the options include school health profile, POC, LEA data manager, LEA head of school, school principal. The school health profile POC one can be assigned to either the LEA level or the school level, so you have both of those options. Once they're in the system takes one business day basically to refresh for everybody. So please after they've been successfully added, please notify the user to wait one business day. And then on the next day, they should be able to log into the application directly and set up a user account using the same email address that was submitted in the IDS system using the single sign-on process. They immediately will gain access to the application after that. Next slide, please. I'll briefly walk you through some of the minute details of this process. Basically, you will log in to data.osse.dc.gov/shp, and this box at the top will pop up, and the yellow arrow shows exactly where you'll click Sign Up Now. This Sign Up Now will take you to the second box that says User Details. Here you will enter the email address that was submitted in IDS. At that email account, you will receive a verification code, which you will submit here and click Verify Code. After you've successfully verified, you'll be able to create a new password and add your name, and then you will have your account. And that is the single sign-on process. It's very straightforward and easy, hopefully. Next slide, please. These are just some additional detailed considerations. I won't spend too much time on it, but basically do not use one of the social accounts to create the single sign-on credentials. You should only use the email address associated with IDS. The system will generate an error message if the user is not found, and it'll also indicate if the user does not have access to the school health profile application, which means again that they will need to be added as a school health profile POC. If a user receives this message, they should first contact you, and you will be responsible for adding them to the all staff collection file. And once the details have been successfully uploaded, the data manager, again, should let the user know to wait one business day. It's not going to happen immediately. Wait one business day, and then click Sign Up Now to create that user credential in the application. And if you continue to have any issues, that's when you should submit an OST ticket with OSSE. Again, deadline for that is by February 3rd. Next slide, please. So resetting your password, again, this is now going to be self-managed. So if for whatever reason the user forgets the password, you just click this button that is on that sign-in page, and you should be able to follow the process and create a new one. Next slide, please. Okay. Now we will dive into the demo. I will share my screen now. Okay. So again, this is at data.osse.dc.gov/shp. I'm going to be walking us through the LEA view of the application. I already showed you how to create a new account, and since I already have mine, I'm just going to log in. Enter my email address and password, hit sign in. This is the consent form that you can read, hit agree, and this is the landing page. I'm just going to zoom out briefly just so you can see the whole page. Here you will see that there are 5 modules here, one called the School Health Profile for current school year. This is where you can access the school profiles. This one right here is historical submissions. This is where you can access past year's profiles. On the right here, this is view legislation details. If you're curious about anything related to the Healthy Schools Act or what the requirements are for health or PE minutes, you can access that here. These two down here that say coming soon and are grayed out will be enabled later. This left one is for the self-assessment and action plan if your school needs to submit that. And this will be for accessing reports that summarize trend data for all of DC schools, for example, like accessing the Healthy Schools Act reports. Other features in this homepage, here you'll see a rotating, you'll see some rotating messages in this widget. If I just click next here, these are, again, just a summary of key dates. I'm going to zoom back in so you can kind of see this widget. We'll just have some information here occasionally that might be helpful to look at. At the top left here, if you click these 3 dashes, you'll get to a menu. We were just on the home screen, and you can go to a tab called LEA Schools or a tab called FAQ. Now, this FAQs tab will hopefully answer 90% of the questions you might have. I'm quickly just going to show you what it looks like and how it's broken down. It's broken down by general information, so kind of context questions, who might best answer certain questions in the school health profiles, and more. Then we have a tab for the school level user. So these are questions that are going to be helpful for anybody like the school principal who is wondering, how do I get access? What are the login instructions? This is where all that information lives. And then finally, for you all, the LE level users, here are some questions that might be relevant for you to view and get familiar with. And this should be your kind of first stop before reaching out to us at OSSE, because we hope that this guide will help answer most of those questions. This FAQs tab is also available right up here, so you have 2 places where you can access it. I'll navigate now to the LEA Schools tab. So this takes you to first, you'll notice 3 tabs here. I just zoomed in real quick. Is my screen sharing paused? I think it's okay now. Okay. So there are 3 tabs here on this LEA Schools page. One is called Survey Completion Status, one is Questionnaire, and one is Certification. Under the survey completion status, this is where you can see a total summary of all of your schools and where they are at any given point. So this donut chart is showing you exactly how many schools have not started yet, how many schools are in progress, how many have already completed their profiles and submitted for certification. And this last one of certified is pretty much only relevant on February 17th, which is the date of the certification. Below this, you'll see some general school information. So you'll see a column for school name, the grade bands that it serves, and then the survey status. And then to the right of this, you can see each of the 7 sections of the school health profiles. So there's the school profile, health services, health education, physical education, school nutrition, distributing information, and environment. So you can filter for any of these things. So if you want to see only the schools that are serving, let's say K through 5, there's this little icon here for grade band. You can type in K through 5 and hit filter, and it'll now only show you those schools. To remove it, you just need to clear it and it'll return back. So we hope that this summary page gives you a very high level and quick view at kind of what is going on and the individual progress on each section. You'll see some sections for the schools are at 0 versus at 100. Now, the reason why some of these are not at 0 across the board is, again, because we've pre-populated some data. That's why some of the percentages are higher. Again, we hope that this just gives you that little extra boost and support that you need to complete the school health profiles and all of the survey questions. So I also want to, now that we've seen the survey completion status page, I'll take us to the questionnaire page. So here is where you can see a question by question breakdown and grid view of the entire school health profiles for all your schools. So I'll just navigate to section 3. Here you can see for each of your schools kind of what data has been submitted, and you can again filter based on grade served. So if most of your K through 5 schools have the same answer for a particular question, this is where you can view that and quickly just scroll over and make sure that all those responses are the same. If they need to be changed, you can click on the school name here, and this will take you to that school's profile where you can make that change in that profile. I'll click on one of these in just a second, but I just wanted to show you this view so you can see that you can really scroll through and see it all. I'm just going to navigate back to the survey completion status because this is really your home page. And I will walk us through an example of completing the form with the example school number 1. So at the top here, you'll see the same progress bars that we saw in the last one, in the last page. So again, you can quickly scan through and see what else needs to be completed. I'm currently on section 1 of the school health profile, and you'll notice that for section 1 in particular, we, through our OSSE authoritative databases, have completed this, and all of this information is grayed out because what is here should be what you have on file. This one actually is a really easy one that I think I would recommend all of you to go in on December 5th and just hit this checkbox. This was already at 88%. By clicking this checkbox and hitting save that you approve of this information, you will bring this page to 100%, which will, again, just further help your schools in completing the survey. For this profile in particular, it looks like I just have section 4 left to complete. So I'm going to kind of walk us through what it looks like to save and kind of access all this information. You can save information at any point in the survey by clicking this blue button at the very bottom. And I would recommend that as you go through the data, if there's anything that you're unsure of, or you think that the school or you need to go search for the answer and update later, go ahead and just remove that data. Just leave it blank because that'll make it clear that that question still needs to be answered. And it's better to leave it blank than to have incorrect data and accidentally submit that to us. The application will also not let you submit any data with any errors. So if for the minutes, average number of minutes per week, that a student receives physical education. Let's say I accidentally fat finger it and I put 500. The application will automatically show you an error to please enter a value less than or equal to 450 minutes. Whatever the instruction is that is specific to that question, that is what will show up in this error box. So you can then go back and you can change the answer to whatever it was supposed to be. So again, to bring this section to 100%, you need to keep in mind 3 things. 1, there must be no errors. 2, all of the required questions, those that are marked with this little red asterisk, must be completed. And when these 2 conditions are met, this select to complete the section box will no longer be grayed out. So I'm just going to show you again. When I don't have a response here, it'll say this field is required, and this box will be grayed out. I cannot complete the section and I cannot achieve 100%. Once I enter a value, then that error message goes away, and this is now available for me to select. I hit save, and I had previously completed the other 6 sections, so now I'm getting this notification. Thanks for completing all sections of the survey. Once you are ready to submit, click the Submit for Certification button at the top. So I'll hit OK. I'll come back up here and I'll see that all 7 sections are now at 100%. I also wanted to quickly draw attention to this box here of legislative instructions. At the top of every section, if there's anything relevant to that section in the legislation, we've kind of included that here to make it easier for you to see exactly what is important to know. You can minimize this if it's getting in the way and expand it as needed. So once you've reviewed all of the data and successfully completed all 7 sections, this button at the top, Submit for Certification, is no longer grayed out and is ready for you to click. Now, school level users who click this will no longer have access to the application to make any changes after they submit it. The only people who can are those at the LEA level, meaning you all. And you at the LEA level can also submit for certification on behalf of a school. But after this is submitted for certification, if you as the LEA make any changes after this point, the profile will return to being in progress, and you must check the box at the bottom of that section and submit for certification one more time. This is a likely scenario, perhaps in the days leading up to or on the day of the certification, as the LEA head of school is reviewing the data. If they need to make any changes, they can do so, but they must submit for certification again. The school will be notified anytime the profile is submitted for certification, so please keep in mind that they may reach out to you with any questions when that happens. One last feature I'd like to point out on this school's profile. So we've been in the questionnaire tab. We also have access to this points of contact tab. This is helpful information for you to know everybody who has access to this school's profile. This way you can reach out directly to anybody that's involved with this school's profile, with the principal, with the head of school. All this contact information is here for you. So I'm going to now navigate back to the LEA Schools tab. And for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to show you how the LEA head of school will certify the data on the date of the certification deadline, which again is February 17th. So I have the user credentials of an LEA head of school. What I will do is when I log into the application, again, I'll come to this LEA schools page, and this certification tab will be available. Now, I forgot to submit the last school survey for certification. Again, I'm at 100% for everything. I will hit submit for certification, and I'll get the reminder, are you sure you want to submit this survey for certification? Users with school profile role or school health profile PSC school level will no longer be able to edit the survey. Again, we talked about that, but I'm ready to submit, so I'll hit that button. And I'll get this green survey submitted for certification. Now, again, I'm the LEA head of school. When I go to this tab called certification, I will be able to see now that this school, there's one school that has submitted for certification. What I'll do is I'll click on the school name and I'll review all of the data and make sure that it's all correct. And I think it's just taking a minute to load. Yeah, so once I've reviewed all of the data, I will be able to submit this for certification. Now, let me just see what. So let's say I went through all 7 sections. I hit save at the very bottom to indicate that I have reviewed the data as the LEA head of school. What I will now click on is this submit for certification button. Oh, this is what we already did. Apologies. This I may have clicked the wrong thing. Sorry, I walked us through the wrong part of that. It's even easier than that. What you will need to do is review the data here, but since it's already been submitted for certification, there's this big glaring green certify button that I missed. That is what you will click when you're ready to certify. Your name will show up here, and by selecting this checkbox, the LEA certifies that the data submitted is accurate to the best knowledge of the LEA. I'll hit certify, and that will now change this school's status to certified. So when I go back to the survey completion status, I can now continue to see who has not started, who's in progress, and who I've certified for. So this is every step of the process for the school health profiles. I believe I've showed you all of the features, and this kind of concludes our demo for today. So Marie, I'll pass it back to you to share your screen again. So I know we covered a lot in the demo, but please remember that this webinar is being recorded and you will be able to access that as a resource moving forward. We also have the FAQs document and an instructions guide that are both currently available on the OSSE website. Caitlin will also drop both of these in the chat so you can kind of bookmark those as well. So again, do as much as you can now during this early access period. Start coordinating with teams who have certain bits of data for the school health profile so you can maximize the use of this time. Pre-fill data as much as you can. Review and update any pre-populated data and add any new users to the all staff data collection file. Leave blank any questions that need to be updated or that you do not have the answer to rather than leaving the response from last year. And please remember the school health profile must be resubmitted for certification if the LEA makes any changes. Just for your awareness, since you will not be receiving these notifications, school level users will receive 3 notifications during the data collection period. They'll receive the first when the profile is submitted for certification. They'll receive another when the LEA head of school certifies the data on February 17th. And lastly, when the PDF is ready for download in the school health profile application. Some final key deadlines to just keep in mind again. February 3rd is the OSSE deadline for any major glitches or technical errors that you're facing. On February 16th by midnight, 11:59 p.m., the schools should have submitted their profiles for certification. And on February 17th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., the regular data certification window, that is the deadline for the LE head of school to go into the application and certify using that big green button that I missed the first time around. Next slide, please. So we'll now go through some questions. I'm going to pop out the chat box and just see kind of what folks have been asking. So just give me a moment. So there's a question about getting access. How does one uh, get access to, as a data manager, if you're not the data manager for the LEA? I believe this credential needs to be assigned in IDS. I'll check in with my team to make sure I'm answering this question correctly. I may not be fully understanding it. Another question, how does a user know who at their LEA is assigned a role for the school health profiles? For example, how will a LEA manager know if the head has access? This information, again, is available in the points of contact tab, so you should be able to see exactly who has access to it. A question on the grid view for viewing all of the schools. Is there a way to enter responses in the grid view that will have the same answer, or do you have to do them all individually? That's a good question. You will have to go individually into each school's profile and make that change. Unfortunately, being able to edit all of it in that grid view was not possible for us to build because it's a pretty technical thing with all of the sub questions that are associated with main questions. So you will have to go into each school's individual profile and answer it there. So to confirm, no, schools that primarily serve adults or pre-K students, they do not need to complete, they are not required to complete the school health profiles. Another question, can the head of school certify the data prior to February 17th? No, they cannot. The process for data validation and data certification is something that is formalized through OSSE's practices, and there actually is a document kind of outlining this process that I believe Caitlin can drop into the chat to share more about that. So what category should the data manager use in IDS to grant the LEA level access to someone other than the data manager? So in that case, you will want to assign them as a school health profile POC dash LEA level. I believe there's school health profile POC LEA level and school health profile POC school level. So it sounds like based on this question, they should be assigned as LEA level. Yes, this webinar will be recorded and you can view this later. The presentation slide deck, we can make this available for you, but I also will note that the FAQs document and the instructions guide that we have on the OSSE website already are great resources as well. Okay, I think that is most of the questions. Okay, let's see, I think there's just one more. I'm not sure about this last question, Nora. We'll reach out to you directly to talk more about the specific question you're asking about because I'm not sure about it. Credential issues. Credentials randomly stop working. Are these credentials for IDS or for the school profile? Kimberly, we can also reach out to you directly to help you with that. Okay. Um, I'm sure that you all will have many more questions in the coming days before you get access on December 5th. So please continue checking out the FAQs document and checking out the OSSE website. We've updated it all with all of the information that you need. But again, if you have any more specific questions, feel free to reach out to me at osse.schoolhealth@dc.gov. Thank you so much for joining today. We'll send you an email with all of these resources and more. And I really look forward to another successful school health profile data collection season with you all. Thank you and happy holidays.